Hello again, Sean from training. I'm here to talk about Pulsara. We're going to go through the new functions of the app that are going to be turned on as of March 18th. That's this coming Monday. We talked about it at Medical Control Board, and we decided rather than having just 3 buttons and using them in different functions or different ways, we're just going to turn the app on and use it in its entirety. I think that's going to be a lot easier for the line to use. I know there's been some confusion on how to use each button, so now we're just going to use all the buttons. That's what's going to happen. You don't need to do a radio report after you've activated Pulsara. However, if you feel like you want to call in and confirm that your report was accepted, by all means do that. There's nothing wrong with that, and you can always use the radio as a backup if this doesn't work. But please use Pulsara as soon as you can on scene when it is appropriate, and activate the teams, let them go, and start doing things on the hospital. The whole point of the app is so we can get patients registered early and get the teams organized so when we get there, their point of care is much faster and up to 40% faster in the ER so they can get seen by a doctor and get the treatment they need. Again, this does not help us in the field. It's not going to do anything for us. That's just the bottom line. However, when it comes to training, there are some things that the data it collects that we'll be able to use for continuing education, which are very important. But for now, it's just one more thing we got to do. Use it in lieu of a radio report. You've all got to do a radio report on the way in. This is no different than that. It takes about the same amount of time once we get good at it. I've been using it since August, even adding all the vital signs in a general basic diabetic patient. Takes a little bit longer, but it's still completely doable. With that being said, I'd like to talk about briefly when you should use Pulsara on a call. What we don't want to see is people just come in and feel like you need to use Pulsara from the very second you see a patient. Patient care is the most important priority on scene when it comes to their well-being. So let's use Pulsara appropriately. When you come in, take care of your patient, see what's going on, do your assessment, get everything assembled that you need to assemble, and then go ahead and enter them in Pulsara. You can do that if you want, as I do, in the back of the medic unit as we're pulling away from the scene or as you're loading the patient. What we don't want to see is people coming in and going directly next to the captain, standing there, entering someone in Pulsara because you think it needs to be done that quickly. Just do it in lieu of your radio report in the back. That's probably the most appropriate. If you have a STEMI that you'd like to activate quickly or a trauma, then by all means you can, but don't compromise your patient care. We want to go ahead and treat the patients and then add this as just another tool that we're using. We'll get right into the app and start talking about that. One thing that you need to do is we take pictures of 12 leads. We also you can take pictures of the scene. There's 2 different places to put that in the app. One is in the EKG tab on each tablet or in each part of the app, and the other place is in images. We're going to talk about that as well. When you're taking an image, that's anything from their facial droop to an injury to the scene to entrapment in the car, whatever you want to take, anything that you're looking at on the scene that's not an EKG. If you're taking an EKG, we would like you to take the pictures in landscape mode and take 2 pictures, one of each half of the EKG. Our EKGs are about 23.5 inches long now, so if you put the phone up really high and take a picture, or come in really close and take a picture, or do it in this mode, portrait mode, it messes up the clarity of the 12 lead when it gets to the back end at the hospital. So I'd like you to lay your strips down and just look at half the strip, get a picture of the actual EKG, not the data at the other side, get it in focus and take a picture and add that in, and then take the picture of the data, add that in, and send that off. If you could do it that way, that'll help the cardiologists and everyone at the hospital and us in training when those pictures come through the app. So when you're taking pictures as well, one of the things we're going to take pictures of is their ID. So if you could take a picture of the patient's driver's license or any piece of mail or any ID card they have. The hospital is concerned that we get an accurate spelling of their name. Sometimes they just tell us their name and we have to guess. That's fine. But if we can get a picture of the actual spelling, it helps the hospital out to get them registered early. That's why we're doing the pictures. And let's see, when you're taking pictures as well, instead of entering vital signs like I'll show you how to do, you can take a picture of the actual Zoll monitor. So if you have your vitals on the monitor, just snap a picture of that real quick, and that will pop up in the images at the ER, and they can use that in lieu of trying to punch in all the vital signs, because it does take a little bit of time. So when you sign up, if you already have, and log in, you'll get a PIN number. All the pins should be set to 0000, 4 zeros. That's so I can hand it to anybody, or you can hand it to me. Anybody can hand a phone to anybody, and you can just open the app without having to find out what their PIN number is. Once you've signed up and have your username and password, you'll get a PIN. Set your PIN to 4 zeros, 0000. That way anyone can use any phone off of any medic unit. If I just hand it to you, or someone hands it to me, or you hand it to whoever, that they can just hit the 4 zeros and not have to worry about whose PIN is what. It's just too confusing. Just 4 zeros. This one is set to 4 ones because it's an actual demo app from Pulsara. I also have a hospital app set up over here, so you're going to hear some tones and chimes. That just lets you know how fast the hospital will get it, and it also show you what they're putting back into the app to let you know they've acknowledged that they've received it. This is the new app. You can see all 6 tabs are turned on. STEMI, stroke, sepsis, cardiac arrest, trauma, and general. Sepsis, obviously, for a septic alert. If your patient doesn't meet septic alert criteria, just put it under general. If they're a sepsis alert, that's going to be under sepsis. Cardiac arrest, that's going to be used, obviously, for cardiac arrest if we come in with a ROSC. Also, traumas are activated. That's going to be activated for trauma alerts, not just a broken ankle or any minor traumas. This is trauma alerts. The only one that's not a code 3 return is going to be the general. That's everything but the other 5 tabs. So with the new tabs, you can see all 6 are activated. We're going to look at the general tab, which we've been using for a while. We're familiar with strokes and STEMIs. We've been using them the longest. Let's look at the general tab. I'm going to show you the new button that's a feature that has come up. You'll notice destination hospital, at patient, scene departure, ETA, all the same as we've had before. Those are required fields, destination hospital. Tap on that. It'll auto-locate your at patient time. You can change that if you wish to the actual time. Scene departure, that's just when you figure you're going to leave the scene or you have left the scene. That auto-populates your ETA, which will let the hospital know our estimated time of arrival. That's all the same. The new button here is called Acuity. That's just simply a code 1 and code 3 button, so we don't have to type in code 1, code 3. It gives the hospital an idea of how fast we're coming in. You click on that, code 1 or code 3. Dr. Paulson wanted me to mention that code 1 and code 3 doesn't necessarily mean licensed sirens or not licensed sirens. To us it does, but to the hospital it means the degree, the severity of the patient. Code 3 to the hospital means a patient of high acuity. In other words, a critical patient. So he wanted to emphasize that code 3 is a very serious patient versus code 1, which is not. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, make sure you give me a call. But code 1 and code 3 is, for us, it's licensed sirens. But if you have a critical patient and you're not coming, or a very sick patient and you're not coming in code 3, you can still put code 3. The hospital will understand that that is an emergent patient. Say if you have a septic patient that doesn't meet septic criteria and you're coming in code 1, however they are sick, like a good pneumonia case, that could be considered a critical patient, should be considered critical. And if you weren't going licensed sirens, you could still tell the hospital they are going in code 3. Name, first and last. The easiest way is just to put your first and last initial. As I said before, that way you don't confuse the spelling of the patient, because they may have given it to you wrong or we're just guessing. Try to get a picture of that ID if you can. Come down, back to chief complaint. If you want, just hit the microphone button and the app will start recording everything you say within reason. Then hit done. Your chief complaint is now recorded. Then hit the alert button. As soon as you hit your alert button, it'll give you a notification, and you can hear that the hospital already has their notification. Pretty quick. The hospital will then acknowledge that your patient has been received. Once the hospital app has been activated, you'll get an alert back just above chief complaint. We used to get a screen that would pop up saying they've acknowledged your patient coming in. Now it's going to be in the team area where it says ED charge nurse acknowledged 1 of 1. That is the way you'll know that the hospital has actually received your notification. If you are curious whether they have acknowledged or not, you can always call in on the radio and double check. There should be no need to do that. As long as it says acknowledged, the hospital has accepted it and the charge nurse has entered the patient into the system. Let's try another one. We'll come back and talk about trauma patients. This is the new trauma tab. As you can see, it's basically the same as the other tabs except for STEMI and stroke. It's just a different color. It's yellow. Again, the acuity button is here, your hospital, chief complaint, vital signs, and labs. In chief complaint, that's where you're going to give your report on why they meet trauma entry criteria. And then hit your alert, and that's how we're going to activate the Pulsara app. So I hope this has helped. That's the new setup of Pulsara. The only thing that's changed is that we're using the entire app. We're not just using individual tabs. So use it for everything. Use it on every call. Everything from any general medical diabetic, fall injury, all the way up to trauma activations, strokes, and STEMIs. This is going to help the patient care on the back end. The cardiologists, the neurologists, the trauma surgeons are all on board with this. We need to get the information to them so we can treat our patients better. This really is going to help in the end. Please sign up, use the app, and if you have any questions, by all means, contact me. We all know my phone number. It's on eLog. We also have a group of FTEPs, that email is coming out, that are going to help out as well and be super users in the field. We're going to train them a little more on all the little nuances and issues that you might have and how to get your passwords reset. That list will be coming out, I believe, with this video. So feel free to contact any of them who are in direct contact with me. Any questions at all you have with Pulsara, get a hold of me. I'll be the point tech guy on this issue, and I hope we get this going soon. Thank you for your time.